We're ready? We're on? Are we on? Great, thank you. All right, welcome everybody to the March 26, 2025 meeting. It's the Economic Development Committee. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. All right. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:37. At 6:37 for the note taker. All right, I did a little out of order here. So, what we're going to do today, I won't call public input till after 6:45. So our items for business today are approval of the minutes from February 26, 2025. Before we do that, I just want to say Laura Gandia will not be joining us tonight. Marion Colby, Harry Menzigian will be joining us from Conservation now, and Jay Mankar from NRPC. All right, so approval of the minutes. Of course, I just heard the door out there. For February 26, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Does anybody see anything they want to change? Do you want your minutes back?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, it's John, I thought it was somebody for the meeting. Hi. So I had one item I believe I'd like to look at. Where was it? Just give me a moment. Actually, I'll wait. I wanted to say, actually, on page 4, I don't know if you guys see it in the portal or not. Page 4, after you see in the middle of the page, A, B, C, D. It says, my name suggested a future meeting should focus on, visiting these goals. I like that. The next one says, at the first sentence is okay. I said a primary concern was these companies. I would like to say a primary concern of these third-party companies. Okay, does that make sense? Because these two paragraphs really kind of belong together. We made them two separate paragraphs. So for the paragraph, second paragraph under A, B, C, D, keep the first sentence as it is. Infrastructure concerning the town, period. A primary concern was these third-party companies approach us to evaluate business trends. And does that make sense what I'm saying here?
It does to me.
Oh, yeah,
Yep,
does it
it
make
does.
sense from before? Okay. And speaking of that, we have one online that we're going to be talking to right now, so I'm trying to, all right. So, the only other thing I would like to say, because I think we all know what happened, but I would like to just reiterate on, let's see, this would have been on, let me just see where it was. Where was November, December was missing, all right. On page 1, the first paragraph, the second sentence, due to the scheduling conflicts and holiday season meetings were not held November, December, or January. I would just like to add November, maybe parentheses, Thanksgiving, and December, Christmas, because we didn't have meetings because they were on the holidays. So it didn't look like, we just said it was a holiday season. We definitely had a conflict in January, though.
Yep.
So if we can just say November, parentheses, Thanksgiving, December, Christmas.
Yep.
All right, didn't look like we had a 3-month vacation, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that's all I had. And that sounds like everyone else is all right.
Yep, it's fine, yep.
Does anybody want to make a motion as amended, or it's up to you?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Great, we have a first, second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, abstain.
Aye.
Okay, so 301. Great. All right, so let me get back to this agenda. All right, hello, we have a guest. How are you? This is Shelley from Placer, right? Yeah? All right, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, so,
In advance questions that the way the sound is picking up, it's a little different. Who's asking the question, even though I can see far. So if this is relevant, know that I won't be sure who's talking.
okay. So you're from Placer. Can you tell us a little bit about your company and what you do?
Yes. So Placer is a location analytics company that leverages mobile data to provide insights on any physical place. So this could be a visit or a retail visit. It could be an employment-related visit, even residential visits. We to collect this data, we build our own panel of over 25 million patients we're able to observe 24/7 by partnering directly with really commonly used iPhone and Android apps of all kinds.
Yeah.
So it's not a Pacer app, it's the type of app whose core functionality requires that location services are running, travel, tourism, insurance, shopping, all kinds of apps. And then, I will also share that there is an affirmative opt-in for this, so nobody's surprised that they say, yes, I know my location might be observed and used in this way. And then we're also unique in that we're not collecting anything personally identifiable. So it is the locations only. And actually the fact that we've never collected personally identifiable information helps make our data the most accurate out there, which is nice. The privacy is tied to the accuracy because of the changes that Google and Apple have made over the past few years. Through them, because we were never collecting personally identifiable information, we maintained that panel of 25 million plus. What we're known for is, then stop me if any of this is too much detail, just addressing the questions I often get. What we're known for is actually the accuracy of the extrapolation from that already giant panel to account for everyone else in a really nicely debiased way, so that we can share with you or any of our customers, how many people are going outside of the city or town to get to things they need, what kind of parks, what kind of amenities are needed in each park, who's traveling into town, what types of places do they like to stay in general, all kinds of questions related to location. And obviously we can get into the weeds and I can share with you some of the platform and how you might use it. That Kim shared with me about, your potential mixed use addition or different retail that might be needed. And I can dive into that now. Do y'all have any questions about that kind of high level, who we are and what we do, before I dive into more?
Are you able to, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you able to factor in requirements for septic versus sewer into your calculations at all, or no?
Can you ask one more time?
Are you able to factor in requirements for septic based on sewer connections for your calculations?
Can you link to Avatar to figure that out?
Oh, no, I don't think, I don't know if they can link to Avatar.
But could
Can you
we,
hear me at all?
I don't know if you had, so maybe whatever data that gets downloaded, we can pair it up to our house information. I don't know.
So,
I can hear you really clearly over the microphone.
Yeah, it's hard today.
I think we talked a little bit about this, Shelley, when we talked, the fact that Litchfield doesn't have sewer. So we don't have the capability for sewer connection. And so the question was, do you have the capability when you're looking at your data to kind of take that into account and maybe look at what type of businesses wouldn't require that
Level of service.
sewer
Actually,
for their
not something
service?
that I know that we've used our data for. Ours is more about the movement of the people. So we can tell you what kinds of businesses there's demand or unmet demand in some cases, but the piece to tell you the requirements needed to recruit that business, beyond data to tell the story, hey, we've got your audience, come locate here, is something that needs to be overlaid on your side of things.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry it took me so long to hear the question.
Yeah, I'm hoping that our recording can pick this up, because we had a speaker the other night that was on and we couldn't hear as well, but that's what our minutes will be for.
Can we turn the volume up on the TV?
Yeah, it's already up to 77, isn't it, or 88? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I can hear some of you so well. I think it's
Okay.
just a thing. Mhm.
Maybe the mic. All right, so it sounds like they gather data from around the area and can give us inflow and outflow of what's happening with the people going in and out, what they're maybe spending on or where they're going, right?
Yeah, so we can tell you like who's coming into town, who's going out of town, where do your
Yep.
residents go for work, for instance,
Mhm.
commuting patterns like, kinds of places do they have to go outside of town to shop, to go to services. So it can really speak to this general movement of people, and then there are all kinds of questions that citizens and cities answer. I do actually have, I wonder if it's a really good place to start, the common ways that cities and towns are using it. At this point, we actually have 1,600 or more cities and counties around the country as customers. We started off our history, no one thought that cities would be using it, and we started bringing in a few on, and now it's our biggest customer by far. So we have developed kind of an understanding of the common ways to use. I think that might be a good place to start. I have to apologize, I've never used WebEx, so I'm looking to see about sharing my screen. Let's see.
Do we have luck doing that, sharing screen?
Sure.
Can you see it?
No.
No.
Okay. It says that I'm sharing this tab to litchfield.webex.com.
Can she send it to us for later?
Scott, do you know if there's something that you need to do on your end?
I'm trying to see.
Oh, something just happened.
Can she share it with you, take over your screen, and then you're up there? I don't know. You know how you can.
No,
sort of drive-
because we wanted to try that.
I
the
mean,
other-
the people online can see it,
No.
but that probably doesn't.
doesn't help.
For data analytics.
Very helpful.
Where's the data?
Yeah, we
Oh,
small
there you
view.
go, that's
Oh,
better.
can
Well,
we go to that
yeah.
screen?
Our cameras and something else too. What's that?
Oh, so if we all join the WebEx, we'll
right,
see it.
That's what I mean, can you hook yours machine up?
If you're on the portal and on the economic development portal, in the agenda is the link to join the WebEx. So I'm just guessing that if we join the WebEx, we will see her screen. Trust me, this is just a guess.
So did you say that you had 16 communities in this area using this package? Using your service?
No, 1,600 across the country.
Across the country? Okay. What about New Hampshire? Do you have a few in New Hampshire?
I know Nashua is a customer because I worked with them. Manchester is as well. I think there are others. White Mountains Attraction Association was for a while, more from a tourism standpoint, how do we market better to our audience, or how do we put signage in the right place, make sure that people know that, who's going to see the sign if we put it here? Is it our residents? Direct them to better parking, or construction.
Here we go.
I'm seeing movement.
I think everybody has to mute the mic on their computer.
So,
Feedback.
can you see the presentation,
There you are on the.
John?
Yeah, I can.
Can we plug that in to the screen, or we might lose?
So I
Shall we?
still don't see the oh, yes, I do.
It's the white thing at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Kim, we'll share.
All right, we have feedback
Turn your mic off.
on this.
You got it? Okay.
Can you mute yourself? look like you're
Will there
off
be
better.
somebody on? Oh, okay, I was hearing you were meeting. Let me know when you're on.
So does everyone have it on the portal? Okay. All right, thank you. So what do we see, what are we seeing here?
Okay, so I had just, as I was explaining what we do with cities and towns, I wanted to share with you the common ways that it's used. By far the most, the biggest use case we see is the retail analysis recruitment, like what do we need here that we don't have? And then how do we, what data do we need to recruit that business? Okay, we've got your audience here. This is by no means all inclusive. We see use cases across departments. A big one that's not listed here that I think should be is grant writing. Every grant application I've seen asked how many people will this project impact and what types of people, and you can say who lives near a park, but that's not the list of that park, right? So our data can tell you where people are coming from, who go, how many people, where else they go, what's the economic impact of that park visit, and then the reporting on the back end of the grant. Hey, we with your money, we spent this many people were impacted. We spent it on these new facades down, and this many people saw them. So my point is just there's all kinds of use cases. The ones that Kim shared with me are the biggest that we see. I think some of what we do might be relatively better explained by actually hopping into our platform. So all this data I described to you, we sell subscriptions to access in a web-based platform. And I can share that with you. I don't know how much time you have on your agenda, but I think some of it might become clear seeing it. I often find that it's much clearer once I actually you'll have enough time for the platform.
Okay, yeah. So,
Let me see if I can share my strategy. All of us are learning new technology. I apologize. I am in Zoom all day, every day.
Could be watching ourselves.
yeah, I know. There's a lot of cameras.
Yeah.
There we go.
So let me hop over to this.
Charles Bancroft.
So we solve the data back in this web-based platform where we can click on any place. We have data on every piece of dirt in the country through 2017. So the places you're seeing icons are those that had some reason to add as interest. But we do have data on each piece of dirt in the country, like I said, back to 2017. So for any place that you have interest in, some kind of analysis about the people visiting, we can add a new place tomorrow and still be able to see the historic data back through 2017. So you'll notice, all kinds of retail in here, shopping centers. The little icons are the ones you can click into. I noticed locally there's forest, there's here in New England. I'm kind of curious what that is. The other option, these are polygons drawn around places. So if we were to click, we see who has visited that place, where did they live, where do they work, where else do they go. The other option is, if you, in your case, Kim mentioned that you have a question about how much demand there is on Charles Bancroft Highway. So instead of saying who has been inside this polygon, I actually had a support team drop a pin or two on the highway. And that's what these are. So in this case, we're going to look at who has been by, just as an example, but you would have access to look at the place. Who has been by these pins in whatever time period is relevant. Consulting is showing us data for the last 12 months. But you can get data as 3 days ago, first day, if you wanted to. So any custom range for analysis. So in this case, the question is how much, like who is driving past, where are they going, where else, where did they stop after they drove by, what could you offer them to stop. So the 12 months might make sense in terms of what their demand for. So I'll just leave that on, but note you can get really clear on the time frame, even down to specific hours. Like say you wanted to know who's after their commuting hours, to get really specific on certain days. It defaults to showing us visitors. If we were looking at, we could look at the whole town boundary and say, show me the people who work here. Where do they live? Or the people who live here, where do they go outside of the city to get what they need? You could also say, show me only the people who live within a certain distance or outside of a certain distance. You get really specific on the audience you're looking for. I'm just going to leave it on everyone for now, just to see if it works. So in this case, it's who has driven by these things in the last 12 months. This is sort of the core data on which a lot of the reports are based. This impressions, in this case, if we're driving, it's gone by that pin. So it's not a visitor to a place, it's who's gone by it. So this is the number of people in our panel, that 25 million that I mentioned, who drove by these two pins. They're in two different locations. I'll show you the spots. So one is, looks like here's Albuquerque as a refuge. That's past it, and the other. And I chose of looking at the maps that you sent me. So I hope these got appropriately just as an example. It's really off.
So that would be about where the residential or the mixed use would be, right in that area there.
Where did they stop? Spooky World? Or is that just people going to work? I'm not saying 25 million go to Spooky World, but I'm just saying, that I didn't know if that just for the pin was
golf.
Spooky World.
Golf course.
Yeah.
This is,
What's the date range?
this is of that
She says the last 12 months.
Oh, 12 months.
so by, and then that's before any kind of accumulation. So this is with it. So this is the number of individual unique people who drove by any time in that 12-month time frame, and then the number of visits, the number of times that they drove by it. So lots of people drove by more than once on average in that 12 months, about 8.5 times. So it's actually the red dot further has fewer people. Does that make sense? You know the difference between these two sites? Okay.
It does.
Well, where is the red
Again, you
pin? Where is
wouldn't
the
be
red
getting
pin?
people
This is
that
south.
drove down and turned onto Albuquerque by the red dot.
Right.
Am I thinking of
And
that
then-
correctly?
I can't see the street, I just see the dots. And you need to zoom in a little bit, but that's okay. I get the idea.
So that,
Sorry, I'm pitching some of what you're asking, and so now that
There you go. Now I can see the street.
yeah, so that does make sense, because I'm thinking people that are coming that live in Litchfield and live somewhere on the town hall side of Litchfield,
maybe we can tell you that.
might be driving from the highway, right?
Yeah.
Going, well, south?
Depends where your work is, which way you're
And
gonna
they
go.
turn down Albuquerque, so they wouldn't make it past the red dot. So I would expect more traffic past the blue dot.
Depends on the day, too.
This is the blue dot first we're looking at. These are the home locations of anyone who is driven by your blue dot one time or more, anytime in that time frame. So this is one time or more. So if we toggle this visit frequency up, you would see, a smaller, we call it trade area. And then you could also do this by work location, so we can see work location. And then maybe you can toggle this up for me. I'll just choose the minimum frequency we saw as the average. So of the people who have driven by blue dot 8 times or more, this is where it is. So you can
That's
start to
where,
understand.
where they work?
This is work location, and this is home location. I know the heat maps are, especially on it helps you want to have it closer in. So let's
Yeah, can you
actually let me
go
show
in
you
a
this.
little?
I will have to. I think on WebEx I'll have to share. I'll stop sharing and because every time I open any recording window, let me figure out how to reshare this up to you. Let's see. So sorry, I'm used to working in Zoom. Let's see. So we want. This is the one. Okay. So this view here. So these are the home locations of people who have been by these dogs.
Oh,
And actually, just to appease this for you who are knocking on somebody's door, but I do want to make sure that y'all are comfortable with this. Each of these dots is actually an aggregation of 50 businesses in that panel. So you really can't, talk to anyone on it. Putting the dot in the middle is rid of these visits. So it just, I wanted to appease any concerns front. So the blue dot is getting so many more visits from the local area than the red dot.
Which makes sense to me. So if you go in, so are we saying that there's a large amount of people coming from, where would that be?
Hillcrest, Ellery, so 102.
Let's see the
Oh, cause
red
down
dot.
here is
Yeah.
the river, where's the riverside?
West, a little more.
Can you go in a little bit more?
Yeah,
Sean?
so the gray is the river, I believe.
Yeah,
Right there,
okay,
river.
The
yep,
gray is a
correct.
river.
Yep.
So, there are people from way over here in Merrimack?
Are we
That,
going there, or are they coming here?
these are the home locations, so
That
they're
come in?
going past the blue dot.
Yep, the home locations of
So
people
look
who've
at how
been
many
past each of these as a color coded.
So Merrimack must go up to the airport
Yeah,
crossover and come back down.
yeah, the airport's a good one.
Yeah. So people are coming from Merrimack, Nashua, lot of Londonderry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what's here?
Mansion hooks it.
Are you pointing? I can't tell.
Further south.
Manchester is just saturated.
Yeah, up there.
Down?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go down, yeah. So Manchester. But why would Manchester be going past the blue dot?
No idea.
Well, I mean, I hate
Stick-
calling it the blue dot.
what's the
Why
blue
would they
dot?
be going past Charles
What's the
Van
red
Hoff
and what-
Highway?
The next slide might answer that. Let me reshare. Let me get back into the.
Well, we have a lot with Spooky World, people coming from everywhere.
Right, and you have the golf course there too.
Golf course, yeah.
Oh,
The Continental trucks, and people coming to
Right,
go to work.
Continental going up and down that road.
For them going to work, right?
Also,
If you think of more than 8 times.
right, it's either residents or people who are going, it's probably people going to and from work.
LKQ, they're all taking lefts out of the
OKQ coming out
driveway.
and going to the highway.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So this is immediately before and immediately after passing this blue dot. Where did people come from and where did people go? And so this is by category, but we do also have the entire list. Anywhere. The entire list of anywhere anyone could have come from or gone
Oh, they're
to
going
immediately
now.
before or after passing that pin.
There's Hidden Creek and Passaquoddy,
Definitely knows.
Walmart, the Memorial Park, the concerts.
Good to see.
Hidden Creek.
Romano's,
45 pages worth. We've really got a lot
Hannaford.
of different places. It's a whole year we'll look at. And we could obviously change this time period, but
This makes sense.
okay. So the way that we often will see this used is to understand, what could you have offered them to get them to stop? In the case that you use retail, we have it at the chain level. So this says in that year of the people who passed the pin, 88% of them have also been to Walmart. And you could look by categories. Say you were looking for, I don't know, do y'all have something specific in mind for a category that you need?
Yeah.
I can look
Look
at
at how
that.
many.
Something
So
common.
4th is Dunkin' Donuts. Need a Dunkin' Donuts.
That's of the chains. That's the, so let's take the slight differences between these two audiences, more of a Dunkin' crowd over here. And then if you wanted to use specific locations, which might be more useful, and, if people driving right past and stopping at the neighboring cities, location of whatever it is, this is the specific locations, because of the people who have passed this pin one time or more, we could toggle it up, in the year where people been to, and, the airport may not be useful, but you use a category that you're in, say, okay, what whose grocery stores that may not be what you're interested in. You could say, okay, when people pass this, what grocery stores are they driving? Or actually,
that
this is
doesn't-
when people pass this pin, of the people who pass this pin, what stores do they like in general? So there's some market basket preferences, obviously, Trader Joe's Pops,
You can see the difference where Hannaford ranks on the red side
Yeah.
as opposed to the blue side.
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Well,
So-
Which
where's
one's
the
closer?
road?
Oh, it is.
Right, which end of town do you live on?
Yeah, exactly.
So one end
We have
of
three
town
small
goes to
towns.
Hudson, one end of town,
One
no,
goes
one end of
102,
town goes
yeah.
to Londonderry, one goes to
One goes to
Bedford?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely.
It depends where you live. So we
you-
said, we got
if you
people on
wanted
that
to,
side
you
that
could
go
also
here, they never go up
Was
through
it
here.
Hannaford you were talking about? Did I hear that right?
Yep.
Hannaford, was it just Bedford location was one of them? I think?
Bedford's one.
People
Yep.
go to
Londonderry,
Hannaford and
Londonderry.
Bedford versus
Londonderry too.
Hudson?
Some
Isn't
do-
that-
a
If they're
lot
on
do
that
go to
end.
Hudson. I
Closer?
bump in, I think I saw you there.
But I wouldn't go to the Bedford one, I'd go to the one in Manchester by the
I changed it
mall.
up, yeah.
Who has come to this Hannaford?
Right.
For instance, yeah, who of our residents have come to this Hannaford? You can do the reverse also, I'll just use it as an example. It wants to compare to the one in Manchester. So then you could see.
Kilton Road is in Manchester.
the
Kilton Road is in Manchester, not Bedford.
But they had the
That's where the
COVID in here
casino is
too,
there.
right?
Probably borderline, it's probably.
Everybody had COVID, but there were probably a lot less traveling.
Yeah, so how did COVID impact you? Did you have a lot less data in COVID year?
We had a lot more users because a lot of people needed to know how they were being impacted. You know, who did we lose? Who did we keep? How do we better market to those that are still coming?
But the traveling probably stopped, right? For a little
Yeah,
bit.
tourism.
You just probably went to a few things.
And how they've recovered. So in this case, I just used this as another example that since you mentioned the two Hannaford, who we can show you the overlap. Oh, we also have the numbers. The visuals are nice, sometimes you just need the numbers. So you could say, okay, who from our area is going to these Hannafords? And then you can, Litchfield. So in that time, I think I just left it on the year again. The last 12 months, let's see, 22.6 thousand visits generated by Litchfield residents and 30 generated by, for the one in Bedford. And this is visits, but you could also do individually.
So we're seeing grocery stores, but everybody has to shop, and we don't have one here, right? So
That which makes
But-
sense, but we're not gonna get
we
a
don't want,
grocery
we didn't
store.
survive here
You
when it
don't
was
want to
here.
go to, okay, I chose that one just kind of randomly as a category.
I'm not saying
so-
people don't want it now. but-
Right, well, we're not even saying that people wouldn't want one, but I don't think
Just
that,
you aren't seeing what I'm sharing with you. It's still showing my old window. I'm so sorry. I need to reshare. Stop sharing.
Well, we got the idea.
I can do it here too. I'm gonna do window. That'll solve this problem. Okay, let's see. Tab, code, window. My problem is it's not offering me my code window. There.
Can you imagine how much data's on these databases?
yeah.
I want to understand how they track that I drove by and where I came from.
Where's your car? You're being
That's a
tracked.
little creepy.
And your phone,
You have a location. It's
Cell phone, or sometimes there's one in the car, you don't know.
How, so Shelley, how do you do it?
So we build a panel of over 25 million Americans whose locations we can observe. So it's not necessarily you, it's a giant panel. And for reference, the census panel is in the thousands. So our panel is many, many, many times bigger. And what we're known for is the accuracy of the extrapolation from that panel to account for everyone else. The panel, the way you end up in it, or not end up in it, is if you have one of our apps that we partner with. So it's all kinds of apps whose core functionality requires the location services we're running for their purposes. So that's an insurance app, tourism, and there is an affirmative option. So the user has to say, yes, I know my location might be observed and used in this way. So no use threats. And then when it's running 24/7, we get the locations only. So then we can share that back with our customers via this platform. So it's all anonymized and aggregated. And we never collect personally identifiable information. And that's why when we were looking at that view of the dots, I wanted to share with you that we can't actually go to the house. It's getting it into the general area. But you could say, hey, this neighborhood needs a park. After everyone's leaving town to go to a park for a retailer, or grocery, in this case, it's something that may not be what you're interested in, but, so it's all anonymized, aggregated. This is the tab that I thought I was sharing with you. So this isn't where I was showing you, but it's the numbers of which of your residents are going to each of these grocery stores. Just as an example of the type of stuff.
Yep.
I mean,
Makes
not be
sense.
what you want to group, but. So here's your numbers, and then you can see the overlap in the trade area. So where are people going to each of these? And this, again, is just, an example of how you could use the data. We could do this for, a park, or if we wanted to, we could even do the whole boundary, if that would be interesting. Like you could see where people who work in town live, or vice versa. There are also, let me find the tab, the pins again. The resharing of tabs has really messed with me. I apologize.
So I wonder if would it be help to know how many people that are coming to the airport are coming past these pins,
Okay.
right? Because if we wanted to have a business along Charles Bancroft Highway and somehow capture the influx of people to the airport, we'd need to know how many of those people
You should be able to
actually
choose
go
the
by
airport
to-
as a
Dates
pin,
and
well, not
times.
pin, but as a
As a location.
Airport, yeah.
And you'd want to do it from everybody that went through the red dot and the blue dot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And the blue dot and the red dot.
Or at a third dot on like Hillcrest or Ellery.
But then we have to pair that up with the type of businesses people want
Right.
and see
Right.
where they're going today to get that.
yeah.
So
She could
it's,
probably show you that.
Because obviously, if they're going to Dunkin' Donuts, they're going way out of their way,
Yes.
right? If they're coming into the airport and they're going down past those dots, and then they're going to Dunkin's, that's quite a trip.
Well, there's the one on right by the airport now, actually.
There's going to be one at the new gas station too, though.
Yes.
Oh, we're all getting back in the visitor journey. Let me pull that back up. So this is after they've passed. Was it the red dot you had, Maureen?
Yeah, people that went by both the red dot and the blue dot.
To get to the airport.
Oh, okay. So that is actually something that I don't have in the UI, but we can do it. We have this catalog of more advanced reports that we make for you upon request. Customers can control. But these are just samples of that, unfortunately, for the purposes of showing you a demo of how you do it. But these actually really span use cases, and that one you'd want to see is, the shared audience, same day. How many people, in this case, the example is who went to Target and Walmart. But in this case, it would be pins, who pass both pins. So it's possible just not to show you on demand. Just hasn't been built into the UI. The thing that I actually thought might be relevant to you is in this set of reports as well. Let me find it. This retail leakage. And this can be really nice because we sell Pacer as a subscription, so it's typically annual or multi-years, and a lot of times consultants are doing these studies for cities and towns, but as soon as something opens or closes, it becomes dated, it's no longer relevant, and so the subscription allows you to request a new one as things open and close. This is the sample. Sure, you're also seeing share this tab. I finally have found. Y'all can see a report of. So this is Eastvale, California in this case, but just to show you how the report works, you could say, I want to know where the residents of Litchfield have to go outside of Litchfield to get to these needs. So in this case, the residents of Eastvale have to go outside of Eastvale to get to these categories. at these rates, when they do so, they move to specific locations. And look how far they have to drive to get there. And then it'll actually classify the unmet demand in each category. Is that something that might fit for this? It came to mind when you were describing it, but does this report seem useful to you?
That would definitely help with our in-town residents part. Where would we go?
Yeah, the pin
Right.
that was thinking
You're talking about
who's
work as
driving
well.
by.
We have all the delivery trucks too coming in with these counts too.
Yeah, so I think it's would one of the things that would help would being able to know, and just take those two pins, for example, the people going by those pins, where are they coming from? And when you're looking at data like that, can you get time of day?
Yeah, we do have, just back in the overview, we have, some basics like, the routes. So let me share my, I keep I'm so sorry. So we have the routes they took to get there. So this is of the people who passed the blue pin. This is kind of a heat map version of it. They're color coded by number of visits. So of the people who passed the blue pin, the routes they took to get there. And then that's how they left. Let me share my screen a little bit bigger. And this is any time in the year, but you could say, show me last Thursday at 6 p.m. So to do that, you can actually just say, in the filters, you could say, I want to see a certain time period. If you don't filter by a time period that's relevant, you can say all the possible times that you drove past the pin. So it'll give you the number of drive.
Can't see it.
The basic traffic time looks like sort of a rush hour. 5 p.m.
Yeah. Good job.
So do we think this is
So
a lot more
4 to
data than we need?
6.
It's kind of, we need to hone it into Litchfield, right, on
Yeah.
3A.
So I mean, this is fascinating. Thank you for sharing and walking
It
us through
absolutely
this. I can certainly see some utility for us. I think it is more than what we need at the moment. But that said, it certainly tracks with some of the conversations we've had about where people are going. And I think what I heard you say is going back to like how convenient it is, how far people are driving, right? That helps paint a picture for potential markets for businesses. Like what would be a market that a business would be interested in, right? Like people are inconvenienced by doing this, but they're still doing it.
Yeah.
That would make something
Right.
compelling to a business, so.
And if they're going through us to get to that business, if we offered something.
Trader Joe's and people are finding their way to one.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It can speak to the unmet demand, and then we would open up even more market for the people who weren't willing to drive far to the place that didn't exist there.
Right.
And there's obviously lots of different other capabilities. There's no way to show it all, so I'm happy to hear that you do see some value. Is there anything else that would be helpful to know about Pacer? Or how we work with cities and towns?
Cost, the subscriptions you said?
So it says
I don't know
by
if we need it, but let's
subscription,
just see, the subscription
you
price?
said, Shelley.
Oh, yeah. Actually, let me tell you a bit more about it. So we do sell it as a subscription, and it's often for a town your size, unlimited seats and licenses. So it's often, different departments get in and use it as needed, like economic development can use it for all the things we just talked about. And then, there's a big event and you want to know how many people came to the event and where do they live and how do we market next year. Someone else could use it at a different time of the year. Someone else is applying for a grant. And the point is everything is what we share. Anyone who's an employee of the town. We do also include a customer success manager. We assign someone to us whose name and number you have. It's not 1-800. It's someone who would, kick things off and train and onboard anyone who might be using it on staff. And then also, they're there to meet with you throughout. So if you have a question, that you want to answer with that data, they can walk you through the best practice for doing that. We do find that once someone's been there a few times, they get to, learn their way around, but that person is really looking throughout the subscription. So I just want to know that, want you to know that that's a big value that's part of it. I think they're city planners on our team, and they're working with our other 100 cities, not that one person, but they can pull from best practices. So they can say, oh, that sounds very similar to what they just did in, I don't know, Lafayette, Georgia. Why don't you update us? They can point you to the best practices and guide you on the analysis. The pricing, we typically scale together a little bit, but we do have a price sheet that I can give you. But we do that based on population. It's not always the best proxy. We're using the population as a proxy to estimate the amount of resources we can expect to extend for your solution. And for a time your size, the price point would be $12,000 for the year.
What did they say, 12,000?
12,000.
How does that number resonate?
Hi. But.
We're a little tiny town.
So we'd have to think if we have questions we would want to ask this database, right?
It is, but I mean, I can see
It's
broader
supplemental.
utility outside of this committee, right? To your point about grants, I'm thinking of one we just
Yeah,
applied for
grants,
in rec
absolutely.
commission, and that's a deliverable, right? Number of people
Yeah,
that
that
went to
could
the
defray the
location,
cost.
so,
generally is a deliverable.
yeah, absolutely, yep.
The reporting on the back end can be, that's actually my background, that's part of why I showed it. And I've seen it happen at cities and towns. It's just hard to get that data.
I'm just
Now, do you
wondering-
market this to businesses too, to help them locate a new store?
Yeah, that's actually where we got our start, is more on the real estate and the retailer side. So a lot of times the businesses we're trying to recruit actually have Pacer and they're using it from there. And so the nice part of being on the civic team is that for me, I work with the cities and towns to help them, it levels the playing field. Maybe there's some data that they've pulled that is, from their standpoint, telling the story that they need to locate where you are, but what your residents actually want, essentially something it can almost bring the data you need to say no in some cases too. It just levels the playing field. But yeah, that is where we got it. That's why you can kind of see there's most likely already retailers added at places in the platform. That's our history.
Thank you.
Do you have the state, Shelley, as a customer? Does the state?
No, we don't yet. We do have quite a few, but not New Hampshire.
The state should buy it and give us
A lot
all.
of activity, no activity. Just joking. All right, so I guess we have to go back and think what other questions we would have, right? That we'd
Yeah,
want a
or
data mine
something.
out of this if we wanted it, or more supplemental. We knew the behavior, we just didn't know where they went, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to speak over you.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
I'm happy to share, key studies, if you're looking for ways you can get value, or that document I shared, that kind of that nice high level, how it's being used, all of our civic customers. In case there's some value in there for you to where you can say, if we recruit this one business and get a sponsor for our ROI on the subscription, something like that. You can share that documentation with you. That would be helpful.
Good.
I can send it to Kim.
It's too bad there wasn't something like at NRPC's level where you had a group of towns, which might be a larger area, but maybe a cheaper
They
subscription.
should buy it then,
To share, you know what I
Right.
mean?
yeah. It's funny, because NRPC does track workers in and out when they do some of the transportation projects, but I had no idea where they got the data. Maybe they use them, I don't know, but, yeah.
I don't.
So I think we're still a pretty, so far, small town, right? I don't know if we need to do this yet, but let's ask some questions and see, right?
Right.
So we're gonna go back and ask some questions, right, to see what we need and what was the demand that they wanted.
Mhm.
So we were concerned about available commercial space anyway, right? So down on 102 would have been a potential, right? Would have been, so who's passing on 102 that's going by that some of that commercial land could, is there much left over there?
There's not much commercial land on
Right, so
102,
I'm just
but
saying, a Hannaford way up in Londonderry versus down in Hudson, maybe one, you know.
there's a
yeah.
lot of traffic on 102.
That's what I mean.
I can attest to that every morning when I
Passing.
head
So
to.
could that be something for our
to
commercial
Nashua,
district to
so-
look at? You know,
But there's just not, 102 is really a quarter mile in Litchfield.
it's not much.
Yes, I feel sorry for the people that are going from Londonderry to Nashua. It's much better coming from Nashua to Litchfield in the morning and vice versa at night.
So, but we were gonna try to say, if these were our commercial areas and this is the type of businesses we want, what would we look at, right?
Oh,
What would be candidates? And then we said, well, really, they only go up and down Route 3A usually, right?
Right, but
As of last-
based on the traffic that you see here, what kind of businesses do you think would be appropriate on that Route 3A corridor? That people would come here, based on what you've seen?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yes. Sorry.
Let's see, let me go back into the platform. See. Where? Okay, so of these two pins at least, it would just be specific to these locations that I chose randomly. The visitor journey is often the way if you're looking for who's passed by, like what type of places they go to. So this category might be for all these people who pass this blue dot. The home and work are not that useful. They're going to attractions, restaurants, and grocery most frequently. So, I mean, the grocery, the restaurants, right group, it's not. Dining shops. The next piece that I didn't share that might be relevant is if you do have a specific date, which it sounds like you're about to, you can do this void analysis report. I think it opened up a new tab for me. Share that tab. What this does is similarity analysis between the trade area for the site you're looking at. In this case, it's dropped on this road. And the top performing locations of thousands of businesses nationwide to say if you have a vacancy, commercial vacancy, this is what's most likely to be a fit because it looks this trade area, the people passing this pin look just like that business's top performing locations nationwide. It's loading a bunch of filters here for us. Right, you're probably watching a loading screen. But the filters will allow you to choose, what would be a good fit if you have a vacancy. These are the pins specifically. Oh my gosh, it's taking its time.
Oh,
You
there
can
we go.
say, the square footage you have available.
Buc-ee's.
Bucky's is bigger than our town.
You can say what category
Did you say
want.
Buc-ee's?
And
Bucky's.
these are the ICSE categories, so they're very
Kia,
so
Letters.
this is without any, say you did decide on a restaurant, you could specifically say, I want a Cajun restaurant. You can get really in the weeds. You can say how big of a business you want. Maybe you don't want to change. You can say, are they already operating in New Hampshire? How big of a challenge do you want? I'm going to throw that one on. You can say how comfortable you are with another nearby location, any kind of cannibalization risk. Like if you were to open a location of a business in Manchester, you might still see that business customers. So it's update this as a filter. I didn't change any of the filters other than are they already operating in New Hampshire. So it'll generate this list, and this is actually I don't know this company. Royal Enfield.
Anybody have Royal
Anybody heard
Enfield?
of them?
Yeah.
So it
Creation
AI
Sports?
picked fit, and I did not update many filters, but it says if you were to recruit a business, let's see why it's a match.
There's no match.
Yeah, why?
It's a Venn diagram that
Why
doesn't
do
cross
people
over.
So it says, and I didn't.
We can put that on the report.
Be right. It says it has there's another nearby location. They're not expanding in the states. This is the kind of information that you need. This is saying people who have passed this pin look just like, in terms of household income, education, age, just like the people who have been to Royal Enfield's top performing locations. You would have the data to say, look, we've got your, actually, that's very close.
And what is
Motorcycle
it? What's
place.
Royal Enfield?
It's a motorcycle place.
It is?
I guess so, yeah.
Just recreational. Something.
Oh.
Really?
So, and
Like
again,
we're
I
sports town,
don't know the filters, but just to show you.
We're
what-
probably up the street, so.
And then if there is another nearby location, it will show you the trade area for that location. So you can say, okay, you might feel a few people who are driving, you know, all the way over here to the, I can't even tell what that's pointing at. North here. But look at this whole new trade area is going to open up. So it actually will show, you can say, we're not going to steal any of your current customers. And then if you had a lot of locations of it, it would show you, like, say you want to do a thing that like to locate near a retailer you already have, it would tell you, hey, we've got your free. So this is, again, I barely changed the filters. Oh, I'm not sharing my, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me start over with, so this is,
I was
what I
seeing
was
some of
sharing.
it.
So this is
Yeah.
the Royal Enfield.
Yeah, we're seeing
I
it.
wasn't sharing my tab. So this is how the audience for this spot on the pin compares to your top performing locations. So this is how, I'm so sorry that I wasn't sharing this. This is what I was speaking. So education is almost exactly right. The top performing locations, household income, really close, age, really close. And then this is what I was sharing with you about the, you know, if you say, hey, come locate here, you could show them that you're not at risk of stealing their current customers. Because the trade area doesn't overlap with an entirely new market if they were to locate in Litchfield.
Are they a dealership, Peter? Are they like a motorcycle seller?
I think they own Indian. Another bike company. 'Cause they have a shop in the Portsmouth area.
Well, it looked
Interesting.
like groceries, gas stations, and a few restaurants really were where
Restaurants
they were
are
going,
huge, yeah.
right?
I didn't filter by
Which-
category at all, so that maybe
Some could
they,
go on,
you know, do some filtering here to make the list actually fit what you need.
Yeah.
Multinational motorcycle.
So there, actually, the question came up in another
Chennai,
conversation
They own Indian too.
on banks.
Thanks.
Not
Okay, let's
many.
see.
I do eat banks.
Do
Online
thanks.
banks.
Okay. Is it thinking? Yeah, there we go.
Because there isn't a bank in Litchfield.
Been in the ordinances for a long time, right? When we removed it.
Which is
Then we
a-
removed it 'cause it would never
It's
ever
actually a
came.
larger problem for the town than you think.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet it was, with the-
Yes.
I bet it is, yeah.
Newburyport Bank would be a nice fit. Let's see the report. And I'm gonna remember to share the right tab this time. Okay, so this is the match analysis. This is Newburyport Bank. Technically, it'll give you the data. This is the square footage you would need, next nearby location, how many there are in New Hampshire. It shows you, you know, the number of people passing by. Household income aligns, you know, fairly nicely, education fairly nicely. Age is really spot on. Ethnicity matches, housing values might be relevant to a bank. Marital status is spot on. Makeup, nice. And then it'll show the nearby locations. Okay. I mean, we're gonna steal a few people if they drive over to Exeter or wherever.
So isn't that odd? That's the second one that's come up with businesses that are located over on the seacoast
Yeah.
being a good fit.
Yeah.
You mean the Dover area? The seacoast area? I kept seeing Dover
Yeah.
pop up. So well, it says the Manchester area or Nashua, right? over there, they're growing probably at the same pace, right?
Maybe.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
Here, this little green area here, these
Close,
green
the
dots will
same.
show you where people from your area are going to these other locations. So these are
Oh.
the green people from your area going to any of these locations.
Oh, so we have people from our town going to those.
Could be to work. Probably a
Oh,
weekend,
could be.
weekend trip. The
You
beach.
could potentially capture all the Manchester people, these people in here, Nashville people. I mean, maybe even these people. That'd be closer, I think.
Derry, yeah. If they're going as a client, but if they're going as a worker, then,
So this is defaulting to visitors.
okay.
Yeah, it defaults to visitors, which is based on the behavior of the device. So the AI can tell where a device goes with regular enough cadence to be a working location and a home location.
That's true, you can tell what type of building they went to, right? Residential or not, right? All right.
I think it's helpful if, so I think the original question was, Shelley, when we were back when we were talking, was if we really wanted to know what type of business to search out, right, to market to,
Yeah.
this would be helpful to know what type of businesses the people coming into town would want.
Mhm.
And I think
As
that-
long as we can figure out who's just passing through and who actually lives here, right? Who lives here, goes and does something and comes back, right?
Or drive through for that purpose.
Yeah, or driving,
Yeah.
you're right, or driving through to get there,
for
yeah.
that purpose, yeah.
Yeah, you know, for that, we could get, and there's obviously more than we have time to do in our time today, but we could back up to Hannaford, but just to show you how to do that, say we were looking at the plan, you can say, tell me people who live more than a certain distance and who pass this pen. And so then you only the people who are passing through, who have passed that pen,
Right.
would tell you your visitors.
Interesting.
I actually can't tell if you can see my filters as they popped up.
I can, we can.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm so sorry. I've really I've been terrible at sharing the right part of my screen on this WebEx, so thank you all for putting up with me.
That's what we'd use it for, or if we had a specific piece of land we were interested in, right? What would be a good fit?
Right. Well,
But we
now
don't know what's happening on that
especially,
part of town.
most cities and towns are marketing out to specific types of businesses that they are looking for. So it used to be, very much the other way, businesses scoping out the locations that they are interested in. But now it works really both ways. You have municipalities marketing to the businesses they specifically want.
Okay. All right, so does anybody have any questions, or do you have any thoughts about this, or? Yeah? Okay. All right, so we'll go off and talk about this, right?
Yeah.
And see?
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Shelley.
very
This is
much.
helpful.
Very helpful.
Opportunity, and
Great product.
I'll check in if you know how the conversation goes, if that's okay.
Oh. Okay, yes, absolutely.
And feel free to throw questions my way as well. I know that they'll come up. Sometimes after you digest what you see, and I understand it's new. So throw them my way, and I'll be looking for it. Enjoy your
Okay.
evening.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Shelley.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
All right, so before we go on, I'm gonna open non-public. What is it,
And I'm
at
gonna
7:40? See
get off
nobody,
of,
I just see us up there. Nobody's coming forward, we will close it at
How do I get out?
7:41. Oh, you just wanna get out altogether?
Yeah,
Just exit out, I guess.
you have
X.
to log off.
Do it later, right here. Can you X out of this folder? All right. So you're still logged on there. I can see you there, but so it seems, well, it's, don't commit a crime because I know where you are, and that triangulate the tells in the picture. Track,
Marginally
obviously.
creepy.
But it's amazing what they are capturing, right? Do you think it's too much for what Litchfield really does at this point?
I think if the NRPC had something like this, they've got to have, somebody has a tool like this.
Something, but I don't know. But I'll
It may
find
not
out.
be this product, but I bet you they do have something
Yeah.
that we might be able to
I'll ask.
glom onto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too bad Jay's not here now, but I will actually ask him that, if there is a tool like this, but is there any competitors to this company?
Sure there are.
Are they the only ones that
Sure there are.
like ahead of their time doing this, or no? Okay, I just didn't know if there was another one.
I just know
Right
that,
either.
yeah, they've marketed heavily to municipalities,
Okay,
in the past year, so, our provider, our website, Civic Plus, all those types of agencies, Ready, all these are kind of working in tandem. It'd be interesting to know where they're getting their data, because I mean, we know.
From your cell phone.
She said, yeah, it's definitely cell phone, right? Cell
Brothers
phone,
watching.
and
what
purchasing
apps
databases,
you're on.
what you buy,
Mhm.
at what time.
Yeah, and those apps you guys have, they have third-party auth apps you say yes to, that will track you every single time,
Is
so.
that location thing we have
Yeah.
to turn off, so it'll-
Yes. Yep.
some people still have that. Remember you used to push a button in your car to get help? There's still a phone number, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes associated with cars, you don't know who's there. All right, so, I don't know,
Scary.
I think we knew the behavior people were doing, we just didn't know where they went, right? It makes sense, we all have to, let's be Saturday morning, it's 20 minutes out, 20 minutes back, right? Shopping's an hour and a half, hit the bank, hit the post, whatever you're gonna do, right? We just didn't know where people were going, but it made sense, if you live near Pilgrim Drive, you're going that way.
Yep.
You're going out to 93, 293 the other way. Is there any other thing you think, I mean, we might need another week to let it resonate for yourselves, but,
Well, I saw people coming here to go golfing or to Mel's.
I know.
Like Mel's is
Right.
the only actual over 1% of travel to Mel's, that was it. There's nothing else, everyone comes here to
Groceries,
score,
Yeah,
so
right.
we need more stuff like that. Not Mel's is everything,
Some,
but
an,
Two golf
an
courses
attraction.
showed up.
some anchor point.
Yeah, something that's gonna draw people to, and,
Right.
and Mel's brings a lot of people into town, probably 9 months a year.
Right.
But I tend
Do
to,
they go anywhere else? Do they do anything else when they're here? They either, maybe they eat at Romano's or they eat at the restaurant that's there.
Daily Dead.
Day of the Dead.
but I tend to think they're not going all the way down Charles Bancroft Highway.
There's no way, no.
They're going to Mouse. But
They
they
come
wouldn't
one
hit,
way
they
or
wouldn't
the
hit
other.
that first pin.
Especially if you're going at night, you're not gonna
If-
go down that there.
Well, if
That-
you're going from Manchester to the south end of Manchester to Nashua, you might come down 3A
Yeah.
and get a
Good.
1 or 2
If
and
you
go
go to
in.
Mel's. But-
Depending on where
but
you're
it-
going in Nashua or Hudson or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are going to different schools, right? And some kids go to college too, so,
and I do think the numbers could be skewed with Continental right there.
Right.
And LKQ
Mhm.
going there.
they're supposed to take left-hand turns only, remember that on their pine? They leave. I've always seen them take left-hand turns, actually.
Oh, on LKQ?
Yes, but that was on their site plan.
Really?
Okay.
But it's not totally accurate, right? So if you're looking at the number of people coming into Litchfield, by those 2 pins, you're not getting me ever.
Where were
So I'm
the
never
actual
coming
2
past
pins?
those
One
2
was near
pins.
Albuquerque, and where was the other one?
3, I don't even know what was,
How further down? Down to like
I think that was.
Maybe Hillcrest?
Pinecrest or Hillcrest, do you know?
Maybe him. Either way, those roads aren't
So it was.
major roads to get across town, really.
Okay, so that,
Yeah, they were just 2 examples, right? So
Yeah.
we could
and
predict it.
parents
You'd
drop
have to
their kids
try
off at
different
school all the
pins.
time, right? They might be hitting some of those pins, right?
Maybe,
Unless-
but really,
unless-
how many people live that far down? There's not many houses beyond Albuquerque, right? Now there's the apartments. But if you come down, I think kind of Pinecrest is the
I think it's
the
Pinecrest.
divider
Yeah, true.
on where people go.
Yeah,
Those people go to Londonderry. You know, if you're on from my house, the right-hand side of Albuquerque, you're going to Londonderry, you're gonna take a right on Pinecrest and go out that way.
Yep.
If you're on the other side, you're going, to Manchester or to Hudson.
So does it get us anything valuable? I mean, we gotta put our calculus together, right? I mean, I didn't like that diagram with no overlap, but that was a different town too, right? They were trying to see what we had similar, but again, we're gonna look at what people said they wanted. We think 3A, because it's the one connector that we have, right? Unless maybe 102 as well, but not a lot of, and then try to match that up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
Unless
think
this
it's-
gives us something that we didn't think about.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it would have a lot of use if we're further down the process, right? When we say, okay, we're gonna pursue businesses. Like, this will give us a business argument, right?
Right.
About, there's a market here, we have verifiable data that people are traveling here, so I think it does, it would be helpful. But right now, it's just like fascinating. Like, this is really, I was really interested by it.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would need it just yet, though.
Right.
Because we don't currently have a lot here to start either, right?
We don't have a lot of space to put it.
We don't have a lot of space either, yeah.
Right.
I definitely, it's a lot of money, so
Mm.
if it had to be justified, yes, grant writing could be a piece of it, planning could be a piece of it, but I think maybe the regional cost is probably better. I'll see what they
Yeah.
have. Maybe they have another tool. But again, so we have a report, we have what they want for the survey, we've done all this analysis, you read the minutes just now, there's a lot of economic data we're putting in there to paint this picture, right? And we want them to walk that journey with us and come to a conclusion, right? Like we did. So what value does this add to that? It just really says behavior today, right? And the point, it's speculating where they're going. And does any of where they're going, could it fit here?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great fine tuning thing, and to Peter's point, once we can get some kind of development thought of, what would fit best in those spots. Plug in A here and B there and that Lego there, that's what should succeed.
I think we can do that sort of
Theoretically.
with the 3A piece, with the feathering they were talking about, because of the restaurants,
Yeah.
the coffee shop, whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
The big box chains, though, I don't know. But, so we can do that. But, I don't know where else they went to.
Right, if you put in a big store of anything, you're gonna pull from southern Manchester, you'll get the Litchfield folks,
Mhm.
and maybe this end of Hudson.
Is that enough for a business to survive, you know?
And doesn't the state do traffic
Yep.
studies? You know, when's the last time they did a traffic study
All
on
the
3A?
time, we do them for
We
the
have one
planning
active
all
right
the
now
time.
for Garden Meadows, don't we? Yeah. Garden Meadows had one done just a little while ago.
For the Rose Meadow one, and then they had one for they had one for the horse farm right there too.
Yeah, both sides. So both main trips to town.
It's still on the 10-year plan. That Corning Road intersection didn't get pulled. They should be fixing that for free.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to turn left out of that road.
Yeah, and Rose Meadows now, not Rose Meadows, the horse farm is getting a light eventually, correct?
We didn't put in for a light, but
No.
the state may do it because they own part of the road. But
Right.
no, it was supposed to be turning lanes, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
turning lane, so that's
The turning-
it's a big improvement for what we have now.
And
Oh, yeah.
straighten it
So,
out the intersection.
That
a
means
little
everyone
bit, right?
agrees there's traffic there, so.
But, yeah, it's gonna fail in a couple of years, right? All right, so again, I'm just trying to think, is the investment worth the $12,000, or can we leverage it out of NRPC? Let's ask that. Even if we could get our hands on a package, is it just supplementing what we know? Or are we just trying to build particular scenarios, right?
I think in best case scenarios, it would be help us to market for the kind of businesses that folks want to see in town.
We already know, but I don't think any of them were the big grocery stores that we just saw.
But they also made them themselves too, so
Not that they can't
I think it's more for us to appeal to someone like Rick and say, if you build something this size, someone might come in to develop that for you, something like that, you know? So it doesn't do the wrong thing. I
And
think it has to be
there
done
may
all
be some research that's
about
already
the
been
same
done
time.
based on the changes to the zoning,
Right.
right? Somebody may have already researched what could go in there and survive.
But
You mean
the
the three?
current chapter of economic development speaks to people coming and going, and so NRPC used something.
They did it for their workforce, remember?
Get that
How many
data.
worked at home versus
Right.
leaving.
Yeah, how'd they know that?
That's what we need to look, I'm sure. Would have to look. Census data, I would have to look at what they're.
Bother Jay next time we see him. You can bother Jay when we see him next and tell him to track it down.
I'm sure he's watching right now.
Sure he is.
So I guess think about it for a week to see if you think it could complement what we have. But you did bring up a good point, when we almost had Barron's come in or whoever, sometimes they approach us first, right? It's not saying we're saying this is what might be a good fit, and then you're saying market that, right? Is that what companies are doing now? But we don't have many lots left.
I wonder if you have to have a whole year.
Whole year of what?
I'll ask her.
A whole,
Do
she
you
said it was
have-
12,000
Right,
a
yeah.
year, didn't
Could
it?
could we use it for 2 months?
Subscription, yeah.
So, yeah, there's other towns that are definitely trying to do what we're doing. I'm talking to them. I don't,
Well, if they bought it, they could share.
I don't know if they would allow, if they wanted that kind of thing, because it would help them to say they have more of a footing here as well. So the other town that I did speak to wanted economic development, and at the end of it, it ended up turning into, let's build homes on smaller lots. And
Gotcha.
that wasn't what they wanted.
Higher density. Good luck.
Okay, so, like I said, the cost is steep. So now, let's just see. We had Shelley on. So next steps, I think we have to start getting our data together. We start a report. I still know we're still missing pieces. We still need, Laura started to have some ideas on zoning changes. Jay was also bring that in. We're missing those pieces, but we can still start bringing in the survey information, right? We had the public come in, right? We had 2 meetings on that, right? Bring that just start building all of that up. Are you okay? So I guess we're gonna start hitting a writing session as we're trying to maybe wrap up a few more meetings, right? To bring this in.
Do you remind us of the length of our charge here? Because I know we were extended.
No, I don't wanna keep extending it. I think we need to get something, not just, the main thing was for impact fees, right? That's why we started this, kind of, right? With the SIP finally started happening, we could see where we wanted capital improvements.
Yep.
And then the impact fees help pay for that. So that's how this started.
I guess I'm wondering, what's our current term? Because I think since we're in a kind of a new town
Oh, that's right.
year-
Oh, you're saying because of the new year.
Yeah.
Oh, so everyone here was kind of voted in from their group, or did you?
Yep.
Ah,
We were extended, right? So
Yeah.
past
I don't know.
original-
Did they get extended, or did you have to go back to your group and get it?
Good extensions.
Oh, you did? So planning did? You
Well-
guys did?
Here, we decided that last week, so.
Do you have to go back to your board and?
No, so that's not my question so much as like for this body, right?
Has
Like,
the board
Yeah.
of selectmen
Oh, we-
extended our charge
They want probably something
until we get a
quickly,
report.
but something
until we get the
good.
report. Okay, I didn't know if there was
Yeah.
like a date or something that we're all.
Yeah.
We wanted to get it probably 2 months ago, but the way things fell didn't really
Yeah.
work.
Right.
And I say things that like some things happen for a reason and something else will show up, so. We had to wait really to see what we would recommend for zoning changes, right? And that's the piece that I think we need here. We did have the vote.
Yep.
And that industrial area changed, right? I don't know if that changes how we're thinking, but factor that in too. So, all right, so this is what we're envisioning. We start writing the report knowing we have pieces missing, but just get the facts in, and then we can decide what we want to do with this. Is a recommendation or not? And do you have any, so I think we need to form a writing committee. So we know we'll be writing. Does anybody else want to join? And obviously, you're going to read what we write because you have to bless it too, right?
Didn't Laura take the graciously volunteer to start that?
Yeah, she put
kind of-
together a.
I think she put together like
An
An
outline.
sections, outline.
Yeah, an outline.
But we can, so all the stuff we did last meeting with how much commercial land is available,
Yep.
remember all those statistics we were
Yep.
putting in? And actually, the minutes tonight look pretty good. That all goes in there as well. So there's a lot of financial data. I don't know if I'm gonna like the conclusion, but we just have to report the facts of what we found and potential things that can happen, right? Unless anybody else has a different idea on that? No?
No, I
I
think
think we
when,
just have to do what we need to do there. But at least our numbers are fresh, right?
Mhm.
And all that, you've updated it with the current tax rates, as much as we could, right? The current
Yeah, I've got
value
the
we have now.
Current town, I did the NRPC area, just like the economic development chapter now. Went out for all of those towns. So we have like a financial database tool that we can use that I just have to ask, kind of pick the towns that I want and the data that I want, and it brings it all in for me. So that's what I did. That's on this valuation tab. It gives you the total valuation, the total property tax, and so you can look at the population, how their lands are split out, what percentage is commercial, what percentage is residential, how it affects their property tax commitment.
Because that might be some scenarios we need, but if so much business comes, this will be the tax, it can start to,
Right.
we can start to give them those scenarios, right? Maybe you save 3% on your taxes if this comes in, or, kind of. I know, the reevaluation's gonna be happening, but anyway. So does anybody have any other, is that an okay idea, or do you have other
I think
ideas
it's-
on the deliverable we have to get?
I think we need to start seeing the end of the line here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree to that. So the
Yeah.
3 months didn't help, which is why I wanted to change that. But we need Jay back here, and we need the zoning piece put in. And again, we can decide on whether we want that kind of a service, and but let's see if there is one available for us.
Right.
Did somebody take notes the night that you all met with residents?
Oh, we did. Yeah. It was in the minutes, right?
No, there were no
Oh.
minutes from that meeting.
Yeah,
I must have done it.
I wasn't here for that.
I think I did. I think I did do them. Do you not have them? Do you not have
I
anything?
don't think
on
there
them?
were minutes per
It
se.
wasn't actually, but I did
the
put down
focus
who,
group you're
I did,
talking
who
about.
was here, who spoke, what were the ideas, I wrote all that down. Do you not have that?
Right.
Well, I'll
I
dig
don't
them out,
think
but
so, but I know there weren't minutes because
I do think there was something though, now that you say, Kim, I
Yeah, I
think there
did
was
write-
something, it
we
was,
knew who to invite back, right? And I said.
then
who
we
came
invited
late
people
was-
back. Then maybe that's what I'm thinking of, is when they were here for an actual meeting.
Mhm.
That may be what was written down.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the focus
A lot of
group.
our notes were actually on the sheets too that we had.
Yeah.
The note sheets.
Cause we sent a second email out to them, so we knew who was here, right? So, yeah. And I did put in the idea, because the gentleman that was last wanted the feathering, right? It was one of the ideas that came out of that. So, I don't know
Well,
why.
that would be good
We'll find them.
because, I think that'll be an important section.
Yeah, well, no, we actually have to have the public input in there, right?
Um,
So. I
No, I
remember,
wasn't
I won't
here.
say who said it, but I do remember one person saying, after we, because it took about 2 hours to get them all up to speed. I remember one saying, this is tricky. Because it is. All right, so we were gonna start doing some writing. Does anybody want to join in that effort? Or, I know we're all swamped, because we can pull in pieces here, but you would obviously read it and bless it before anything ever got published, right? And if you see a gap, or
I mean, if you can make it a Google Doc and we can all.
you
know,
want to do,
make
you want
these
to do it
sections.
that, we all go doing it.
Yeah, so it's
Is it
universally
just-
available
So one
for us
check
to
it out at a
contribute to.
time, okay?
Much as
I
I hate
don't,
the Google
it doesn't
Doc.
like we both check it out and I overwrite what you did.
Yeah,
Is that, will it be okay in Google Doc? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just give some people editing privileges and give some people viewing privileges, something like that.
Usually you can see the document changes too, right?
It's a good idea.
What-
Yeah, if the main person that starts, it's the main person and everyone's just an editor, you'll
Yeah.
see the changes that people made and who made them, but,
I don't know if we're gonna come up with any magic bullets for this.
I think it's,
They're on
But-
it, sadly.
There aren't, but we looked under every rock and every, you know what I mean? As long as we can say we did our due diligence and what we found and what we think is the best to
Yeah.
pursue or next phase. Because economic development, aren't you doing that chapter over anyway?
We're working on it, yeah.
So we should be talking when we're done, these two groups?
I can bring it up at the next meeting and
Because
see
we
where we're,
need
where
the
we're
the
at
data,
now.
right? Yeah,
Who is planning?
yeah, planning, they were doing that,
Do a bunch of reviews and.
Yeah.
so.
so.
So what do we do?
I'll ask our next meeting what
It's nice to see the information,
our
right?
plan was for that
What
chapter.
do we do? Okay,
I don't know, I have to ask that question.
okay.
The economic development chapter was what, 2002? It's old, but it's like over 20 years old, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I think, again, our mission was really the impact fees, but I know we probably are gonna be overlapping some things. You're not talking about, are you talking about any of the data that we spoke about here
Briefly, but most of our stuff now is about code stuff. So
for the economic
Yeah.
development?
no, for planning. So just code in general, and then obviously the water stuff and tidying all that stuff up.
Oh, okay, so you're
That's
not,
our biggest focus.
okay, so the economic master plan is not,
It's not right on the doorstep for us, but it's probably close.
it's gonna be coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so they could probably leverage a lot of what we did from this report when we get something.
Yes, so that was my
Yeah.
my surprise was
Um,
I thought planning was going to wait for this report to do the economic development portion of
Makes
the
sense.
That's the idea. Like, we're fine tuning everything we can in town to have things line up better than they are currently.
So a thing that came up was, do we have a master plan? That came up in the conversation. So they take like 2 years to do, and they take, how much money would one cost? How much do you think one would cost?
for a town this size,
Yeah.
probably not as much. I mean,
How much do you think?
The one I
So they bring in other people to do
4,000 or
that.
5,000.
But other people usually do
If you're
that for you.
using a consultant.
Yeah. I hit your screen, so I hope I didn't
That's
delete it.
okay.
Don't
No,
save
you
it,
didn't.
because I did something.
Um,
I just saw it. So
And it
anyway,
also
that would be
depends
something
what
else.
type of data, or what type of data recruit you're asking them to do. Because, like, we did the survey, so there's lots of consultants that will come in and do those surveys for you. And then have focus groups that discuss different parts of it, but.
So again, if Litchfield had a master plan, that would take probably 2 years to do, and probably outside people would help, so. All right, deliverables, so we're gonna meet in a month from now, okay? What do we want to have done by that? Do we all want to just keep work on that document, and do you want us to take a stab and put one out there first, or what do you want to do?
Work towards a draft.
You're gonna let us, yeah, oh, it's draft, put that
Well, I mean,
watermark
have a-
right across as a draft.
I mean,
but-
have a draft.
Have a
come back to
draft.
it
Well,
at
let's have a
time
draft
would
that we
be-
can just start discussing.
And I think
be
we
great.
need Laura and Jay here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're missing pieces. I want the same tone. We want the same, it has to look the same, yeah. Anything else that you want to talk about? Other than we're meeting to get this thing? Anything for you on the town side that I need to know about? Okay. Let's see. Approval, 32.
Maybe we can finish by
Okay.
May, June, let's do that.
I think, well, what month are we in now? What are we in, March?
So, May-
So if we
May
have
1 month,
Laura
May
and
2.
Jay here, 1 or 2 scrubs maybe, and then maybe a final, maybe, I'm hoping 3 months.
Yeah, by June.
I'm hoping so.
Right, so,
Yeah.
July
not-
4th party.
We're gonna have a party, Uncle?
Somewhere.
July 4th party, 11 hour.
Yeah, I'd love to see it done by June.
I would love to, June would be
Reasonable.
nice. All right,
Goal.
that's the goal.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
Okay, does anybody have any other business, or does anybody want to adjourn, or?
I'd love to adjourn.
All right,
Is that a motion? Second?
We have a first and a second. All those, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay, opposed, 400. Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you taking an interest in your town.